All right, would like to thank everyone for joining us today for yet another productive webinar. This time we're going to be talking about Securio Discover, and that's a product from one of our newer vendors on our line card, Global Velocity. I am the host for today, Chuck Eiton, Marketing Manager here at Productive Corp. I'm also joined by Mike Eck, Director of Business Development over at Global Velocity, and we're going to spend the next 30 minutes or so of your time, which we appreciate, going over Discover and talking about some use cases and some examples of why and how it works. This event is being recorded, and I will have a recording available probably next week on the event. And we do have tons of other content on the Securio platform. So with that, let's take a quick look at the agenda. We're going to meet Productive in 1 minute. Who are we? What are we about? What do we do? And then who is Global Velocity and how did they come to be? We're going to talk about Securio Discover, one of the products in the portfolio. What is DLP? A little bit about data at rest, and then show the technology as well, so you can get a good sense of what it is. And we're going to go over this pretty quick, so hold on tight. So who is Productive? Productive is a security and storage software expert for mid-sized companies. At Productive, you have a dedicated account executive who can help you with your storage and security needs. We offer specialized content, licensing, technical questions. We can help you with implementation, testing, optimization, security assessments, which we'll talk a little bit about, penetration testing, configuration services, UTM, gateway, all your security stuff we can help with. We also have a ton of information out there. We have 2-minute tech articles. We have a lot of stuff on Twitter, a ton of stuff on YouTube, and including a lot of Global Velocity stuff that you can find on our YouTube channel, YouTube/productive content. It's also all on our website, productivecorp.com/content. The bottom line, we can help you. 800-726-4099. So that's who we are. Let's talk a little bit about who is Global Velocity. And Mike, are you with us?
I'm ready, Chuck.
All right, cool. So, we're newer partners working together, and the technology is super cool. Who's Global Velocity? What is it about? And how did it come to be?
Well, thanks again, Chuck. This voice is Mike Eck, and the genesis of Global Velocity is rooted in what most people know as the data loss prevention, the DLP marketplace. We have evolved that concept towards information-centric security, where the perimeter is disappearing, cloud-based computing is coming forward, and so we approach data protection from the philosophy of information-centric, starting at the data and protecting it from there. You're going to find that our customers have told us that our product is easy to use, which we hope to show a little bit of that today. With regard to flexibility, we offered flexible deployment options. You can acquire Securio to run on a server inside your environment, on a VMware, or we can run Securio up in the cloud, where we are at the IBM SoftLayer, AWS, and Rackspace. We also have flexible deployment options, which make our product very affordable, and that you can acquire our functionality through a perpetual license. You can acquire it on monthly pricing for a 6-month test drive, for example. And that for the cloud offering, we offer it on a user subscription basis, similar to other software as a service in the cloud. So what is Securio? It's rooted in the square block on the right, in that we look for things. Imagine the needle in the haystack. And that we can look for and have pre-built patterns for Social Security numbers, credit card numbers, If you're in the healthcare industry, the National Provider Identifier pattern. And one of our customers is a bank, and they have asked us to develop for them, which is very easy for us to do, a custom pattern for them. The bank wanted to look for their account number, their customer account number. And so we worked with them to define the logic and the algorithm and validation schemes behind it. And so we can look for patterns. We also, going counterclockwise, special types. Optionally, we have things like watermarks that we can look for inside of a file. We also have dictionary keywords that come with the system, a library of keywords that you can turn on very easily. And then the virtual vault is involved with regard to looking for very specific content. Now, in the circle on the left, the two big functions that we offer are what do we look for, where are we looking for it. In that Securio Protect, which we're not going to do a deep dive in today, but Securio Protect is about monitoring data in motion. In other words, browser traffic, HTTP, HTTPS, clear FTP, and your Outlook mail, your SMTP mail. The other big function we offer is Securio Discover, the bubble inside the circle, which is involved in looking for patterns, dictionary keywords, the virtual vault on data at rest. And so this does, we hope, a good job of describing for you basically at a very high level what Securio is.
So right, Mike. There's two ways of thinking about it. And when we were putting together the event today, what our intention and thought is, before we worry about all of our data in motion, we need to know what's actually already in our environment and what's going on inside the environment. And that's how this event came about, right? Is we need to know what's actually at rest in our environment before we even worry about what's in motion.
Exactly, and we're going to describe a couple of conversations we've had with customers on how they've used Discover to get their arms around an unknown problem, and that we reveal risk and issues that can easily be mitigated to reduce the risk profile in a company. So thanks for that comment, Chuck. So what is DLP? From the perspective of data at rest, looking for data inside file shares. I'm going to start at the block on the right. A lot of people have heard about the concept of e-discovery, and that was rooted in the litigation and legal industry with regard to being able to scan email records for investigative actions triggered by a lawsuit, the Federal Trade Commission, the Food and Drug Administration, whatever it may be. So that was looking for specific information relative to a litigation or investigation. Global Velocity expands on that concept of scanning data at rest, where we're really a data governance trigger, where we scan file shares looking to make sure you are not at risk for compliance data being exposed improperly in your environment or in your company. And also that company trade secrets and intellectual property is not on a public file share, that it's appropriately protected inside your company's file share. So at a very high level, as we talked in the previous slide, Securio Discover looks for, what is it that you want us to look for, and we're going to show you some examples, and that we reveal then when we found it in a scan that you can schedule to occur once a week, once a month, once a day, once an hour, and then we share with you where we found it. What share did we find it on? What file folder? What file did we, for example, find unencrypted credit cards? We give you context and awareness so that you then can begin asking your colleagues who you work with, why did this happen? and what should we do about it? So here I'd like to dive into some stories of the conversations we've had, some real life use cases. In that we had a chief security officer of a health insurance company share with us that they had a network file share that hundreds of employees could use. And for 10 years, this file share just grew and grew and grew to be terabytes in size. And it reached a point with compliance issues and other confidential protection and privacy issues in our world today that she told us that she really didn't know, after 10 years what was on that file share. And so we approached them about running discover scans in a methodology that revealed to them that in fact they had many instances of unencrypted credit cards on their file share that they learned about for the first time as an enterprise, and then were able to take action. The other story I'll tell you about is a local Midwest or a Midwestern-based local internet service provider. And for various reasons, their data center is not in the Midwest, Tornado Alley. It's down in Texas, and they have another one in Arizona. And so they, too, handle credit cards, and they have private personal information on their customers. And they too wanted to know, they wanted to make sure that they were in PCI compliance. And one of those rules is that you need to protect card data, and that typically means any card data should be encrypted or stored in a third party. So your files, for audit purposes, better not have credit cards on them. And sure enough, we ran a series of 250 gigabyte scans on their file shares in Texas and Arizona. And we found handfuls of files that did have unencrypted credit cards on them. So we helped them be proactive in identifying information that should not have been where it was on their public network environment.
So, Mike, right, one of the things that I think is interesting about this is, you gave some examples, and we're actually in the process right now. We've been talking about giving another real example. So, at Productive, right, we specialize in security software, so we think of ourselves as pretty secure, and we're actually going to have a Discover scan done of our environment. And when we do that, we're going to record it and put it on our YouTube channel and on our website and stuff like that, so people can see, what did we find, right? And that's how it's the telltale there is what's out there and what's that proof of concept really show, right? And so stay tuned for that as we work on this in our environment, and you get to see. What do we find on Productives, right? We've been in business for 14 years. We have network shares all over the place, and we do our best to keep those as clean as possible. But like you were saying, Mike, we're probably going to find some stuff there that we're not going to like, and that's really the point of this product.
That's a really good point, Chuck. Thank you. And our purpose is to help the security team be proactive, work with colleagues to understand risk, and obviously to then bring resolution. So at a very high level, this is the main login screen. It's the Securio dashboard, and it's broken into two columns. Basically, the columns on the left are all about Securio Protect, the data in motion, the scanning of browser traffic, clear FTP and SMTP. We're not going to zoom in on that today, but at a very high level, we do reveal, we call it incidents, and we can help be specific with regard to, on the left, in this nice graphic, we can show you that it appears that there is, that there were incidents involving Dropbox, Google Drive, Gmail. So we reveal information about the issues in a meaningful way that you can then click through into the dashboard. But for today's purposes, we're going to focus in on Discover, where we run these scans. So file activity, this graphic, once it's operational for you, can show you how many files we're processing a second. And Securio is fast. It's the performance somewhat depends on what it is we're scanning. Are we scanning a bunch of PDF files? Are we scanning clear text? Are we scanning Excel spreadsheets? Whatever it is. So your performance will vary. Your gas mileage will vary based on what you're doing. But we have some performance statistics that show we're scanning in the hundreds of files per second. Looking for the results you need. And then I'm going to come back to this dashboard after we run a sample Discover run to show you how the dashboard works. So the concept of Discover is that we have Discover policies and Discover jobs. The job itself is a combination of running a policy against a location. So let me start with that. In this simple demonstration, we have 3 file shares that we think do not contain confidential information. So these are the 3 file shares that we think should be cleaned at all times of credit cards and Social Security numbers to keep this demonstration straightforward and simple. So and then we're going to go back and look at, okay, what is the policy? What am I looking for? So in our demonstration for today, we are going to scan for the U.S. Social Security number pattern. And I'm going to show you how easy it is to look at a policy and how easy they are to set up. So in this case, we give it a name. We gave it a name, a brief description. The action is we want to log and create a finding anytime we see a U.S. Social Security number. However, we could also set it up, as shown here, to do a log, create a finding anytime we find credit cards. And then these other sample policies are when we want to scan looking for healthcare, health industry, protected health information, if you're in the healthcare industry, or the confidential terms library. So you have flexibility in which policies. So let's just take a look at selecting this policy in a job. And here it is. So the Discover jobs are displayed here. We want to scan for various things over time or on a regular basis. And in this case, we want to scan for Social Security numbers. And this is what the job engine looks like. We have a real nice, easy-to-use drop-down. Once you set up your locations, we want to scan the Cincinnati share, the downtown share, or the partners and resellers share. I want to scan it once on a manual basis, or I can schedule it to run every night, off hours, just to make sure nothing happened that day. An audit you may want to perform once a month, or you may want to run this all the time. It's running, running every hour. So where am I going to launch the scan? Which policy am I going to use? How often am I going to do it? And then so these are the results of two, we'll call it clean scans. I scanned the Cincinnati office share looking for the credit card or the Social Security numbers in my demo back in February. Now I'm going to run it again. And I'm going to hit run now. And as you can see, the Securio reveals to you, the security administrator, that the job has been scheduled, and the job progresses through the initiation process. It's doing its thing. I don't know that we have the time clock will advance fast enough for you to see, but the file activity, there it is, there's your spike. And if you're running a number of Discover scans, you'll see the spikes, how many files per second, and it appears that job's probably done already. So let's go back to the job. Sure enough, that scan is complete. Let's see what our result is, and there you go. That scan, which I just ran a minute ago, my clock is Eastern, but Securio is in the Central Time Zone. And this is the finding. We found a credit card pattern. We found something that looks like it might be a credit card, or I'm sorry, a Social Security number. And so yes, from a label point of view, personally identifiable information, we found a file that contains Social Security numbers, and we reveal the context. What was around, it was a simple file with those, and that we reveal then to you the network path so that you then can go deal with it effectively and immediately. One more thing, Chuck, and then I'll take questions from you. Over time, if you run Securio scans on a regular basis, we can show you how the same credit card scan can be done on your various shares as I ran this morning, back to back to back, and that we ran Discover against, and they were supposed to be no credit cards, and we, in fact, found some. And again, the context, we put what we found in the context of where we found it, when we found it, so that you can take action. So that's a quick look at Securio Discover and how to use it and the results that it can deliver. Chuck?
Cool, thank you. One of the questions that came in is how well does this deal with custom data? I guess is the basic question. I'm assuming what they're getting at is I might have a customer number or account numbers or some piece of data that's unique to my organization. How does that work with this product?
Very good question. So we have patterns that we deliver with Securio. And if you have a pattern that's unique to you, or a piece of information that's unique to your business, like in the example I gave at the beginning of the conversation, we have a bank customer that has a 9-digit customer account number that has some algorithm and logic and validation around it, and we worked with them, and in a day we developed a custom pattern just for them so that we can look for that account number to reveal risk, and if files have been saved on the network share where they're not supposed to be, so we can look for custom patterns.
Okay. Next question is, how is this licensed?
So you can acquire Securio Discover through a perpetual license, one-time license fee, and then annual support. You can buy that directly from Productive, obviously, or if your budget prefers, you can acquire Securio Discover through a monthly right-to-use license with a minimum 6 months. So that gives you an affordable way to try out Securio. And again, you can acquire that license through Productive as well.
So that kind of leads me into one of my talking points, right, is we're introducing this product to our customer base. one of the things that comes up constantly is, I get it. There's a lot here. I know it's going to find stuff, but I simply do not have the resources to do this. I'm working on so many other projects, I can't do anything. And that got us thinking, right? We heard that from a lot of customers of what can we do to help with that process, and we've come up with a program with Global Velocity to really go through what we talked about here and do a proof of concept and help you understand the data on your network, and help come up with an action plan of how we can help, whether it's a full implementation of it once we find the data, or we help step you through it. A lot of different ways that we can help you at Productive get this up and running, because what we do here is yeah, no one disputes that they're going to find stuff, and every single time we've run a scan, we have found things that aren't supposed to be there on networks. But the hurdle is, right, how do I get this done in my environment? And it's brand new. We're working on it, of coming out with the plan to help you with that. So your Productive account executive will be following up with you after this call. And if you found this interesting, right, we can help with that conversation and help have that done. Also on the other side, right, is, Mike, you've mentioned this a couple times in the presentation, is we're talking about data at rest, but a major issue is, well, once you get data at rest, your data in motion is constantly changing. And that's the other half of the product that you can get, basically, is real time. How do I know that people are not misusing Dropbox or Box, or right, putting things out where they shouldn't be, or moving data or changing data, right? And that's what Securio Protect can do, is help do that. So we can help with that. We do have videos on our website, on our YouTube channel, of both solutions, some tips and tricks and things like that can really help get an understanding. And we'd love to have a conversation about it as well on what we can do to help. So with that, I think we can wrap up here. I'll have the recording of this up early next week for everyone to view. Your Amazon gift cards, I am planning on getting those out later this afternoon, so everyone on this call will be receiving an Amazon gift card. If you don't see it, you might want to check your junk box. It comes directly from Amazon, so feel free to be on the lookout for that. I'll try to have that delivered by the end of the business day today. And with that, we got done, Mike, under 30 minutes. We were 28 minutes, so I think that's pretty solid effort on our part, and want to thank everyone for joining us today, and we will talk soon. Thank you.